Everybody, welcome back to yet another review of the haves and the have-nots. So we start out with Wyatt, and he's a mess. He can't remember anything he's done. He's down there at that bar. He's trying to give Vinny the jewelry. He's saying, I need heroin pills, whatever. He's just asking for everything. And Vinny's like, what does this look like? A pawn shop? And Vinny's like astounded that Wyatt is even there. But it really shouldn't have been that surprising because, drug addicts don't remember what they've done from 1 minute to the next. And when they're high, they'll pretty much go anywhere for drugs. And of course, Vinny wants revenge and he gets Wyatt to go down to the basement because Wyatt's like, like Wyatt thinks he's going to get the drugs he wants. So I'll talk about that a little later because that Wyatt stuff is the rest of it is at the end of the episode. So Veronica calls her new maid at 4 a.m. and she's making all these demands. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Call a masseuse and tell that massage bitch not to wear no perfume when she comes over here. And Veronica's just being rude as usual. And Laura gets off the phone with her. Laura is the new maid. And she's like, she's such a bitch. And, Laura's not wrong about that. Veronica is, a horrible person. And Laura's trying to go back and lay down and go to sleep, get some rest. And Samuel, her husband's like, no, no, you got to get up. You got to get up. We got to do this. And, they're trying to run their scam on Veronica. And really, Veronica deserves to have somebody run a scam on her because after all she's done to everybody, pretty much everybody's on the show, she needs to get a taste of her own medicine. I don't know how much money they're going to get off of Veronica because in previous seasons it's been said that she's in debt, but I don't know if that continuity is going to keep up because, things change with this show. Seems like Tyler forgets about some things and adds some things, and you know how that goes. So we get to Jim, and he's trying to track his car, the one that Wyatt took, and he's on the phone with the security company, and he's excuse me, he's telling them his password and all that. It's not working, and so he calls up Hanna, figuring that she changed it, and she's not trying to help him because he's rude. He's very rude, and she hangs up on him. He calls her back, and she's like, she's telling me she's getting back. She's like, well, what you make me call you Mr. Jim? Well, it for me it's Miss Hannah. And she's just like, get off my phone. I don't want to hear from you. And she hangs up on him again. And he keeps calling and calling and calling and calling. He's like, I'm gonna keep calling. It just goes to voicemail. And she's cleaning the sink and she's like, what a friend we have in Jesus, or something like that. I think that was the song. And so she's not having it. So he calls David and he asks him, will you go talk to her? Because I need to get this information about the car so I can find out where Wyatt is. And then he tells David, well, and when you come here, bring me a sandwich or something. The food here sucks. And I'm like, so now David is, the errand person, you know. And I'm like, David just does far too much for Jim. So back at the jail, this wasn't a real long scene with Catherine, so she was trying to get the guard to help her get some information on Wyatt. He was trying to get her to eat something. He's like, you need to eat something. And she recognized him as a classmate of Amanda's. And she's like, weren't you supposed to go to college? And he's like, well, no, the school, you were giving out scholarships at the school that I was going to. And I guess that was, I don't know. I guess he couldn't afford to go to college after, going to high school, and so he leaves. I get he seemed like he was going to try to help Hannah, Catherine get some information on Wyatt, and then another inmate. She starts, just trying to antagonize Catherine, and Catherine's like, oh. she's like, you're messing with the wrong person. I'm gonna, she's just, threatening to bring her wrath down. And so Alyssa, she shows up at David's house trying to get her things, and she's like, well, I left my keys in my purse in your house. And he's like, I don't have your keys in your purse. She's like, yes, it's in your house. And so David, he was unaware of that, so he lets her get her things, but he's not trying to have anything to do with her. He's like, you know what, Erica was like, I think he said Erica was a whore or something. He's not trying to hear about her letters and all of that. So let's see. So over there at Madison's apartment, Madison, he was leaving for work, and he had, I guess he had looked outside to see if Justin was there. He didn't see him, so he went on to work. And so there's a knock at the door, and Jeffrey goes to answer the door, and he thinks it's Madison. I'm like, well, would Madison knock at his own door? Why wouldn't he just use the key? But anyway, of course it's Justin, and Justin had been out there all night. And Jeffrey's like, what do you want? And Justin was like, I was going to ask you to make love to me. And I'm like, come on, Justin, you need to stop this. And so I'm assuming Justin was just going to, see if he could get Jeffrey to do it right there in Madison's apartment. I don't know. Justin just has, I guess he just has no respect for someone else's place. Because I guess if he was standing outside that door trying to get in, it's obvious that he was going to do it in Madison's apartment if Jeffrey agreed to it. So Justin does his usual whining, trying to manipulate. He's like, I gave up everything for you. And Jeffrey's like, no, you didn't. You didn't give up anything for me, blah, blah, blah. So Jeffrey closes the door, and here comes Justin's brother, like, again, basically, like, oh, so you're over here begging this man, and super homophobic and all of that. And it's like one of those types, okay, we're going to beat all of that out of you. And of course, that doesn't work, but people like that don't realize that you can't beat that out of somebody. So I'm like, if you don't like how Justin is, just leave him alone. I mean, but instead of trying to beat him up, I mean, he's a grown man. He's going to do what he wants. So just leave him alone. Just don't have any contact with him or whatever. Just leave him alone. Okay, so we get to Candace and Benny was acting like he had never been anywhere before. And he heard how much the rooms were in the hotel because Candace wanted to get two rooms. They were like $300 a night each, and he's like, no, well, I won't stay here. And I guess he just wanted to stay in some cruddy motel or whatever. And I'm like, come on, Benny. And so she finally convinces him to stay. They go with one room with two beds, and then Benny asks the clerk at the desk, "You got any breakfast or whatever?" And she says, "Yes, yes, we do have complimentary breakfast." And Benny had to clarify that that's free, right? Benny was so ignorant. He just like is one of those people who acts like they have never been anywhere. Now, not everybody has been somewhere nice, but you should be able to at least fake it, act like you've been somewhere, or at least act like you have some sense and that you're not going to be acting a fool. Ooh, I never been in a nice hotel, but Benny was acting just ignorant. So David goes over there to see Hanna, and she's like, oh. But he is able to talk her into to do to getting to doing what Jim needs done, and so Jim could get that password and track the car. And David and Hannah's scene was split up, and it was split up with a scene with Charles and his friend, that senator. And basically, the senator wants to get revenge on the old administration. Charles does not want that. He tells him to call Candace. Charles does not want to do that. Bing, bang, boom. That was the scene. So Hannah gets the accounts separated because she did change the password for the security on the car. She did change it, and so she got them to separate it. So Jim had his own password for his car and all of that, and she just wanted David gone. And then he was trying to talk, and she's like, man. So he tells her, okay, well, my mother was a janitor at the community center for her whole life. I was embarrassed. She came to my graduation. I tried to hide it, all of that. And all she wanted was for me and my sisters to have a better life, do better than her. And he's like, and she died on a bus on her way to work. And I'm like, that sounds familiar. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's from I Can Do Bad All by Myself. Uh, Taraji P. Henson's character, her mother died on the bus. Okay, because so Tyler really likes to recycle and borrow from his previous movies and productions and all that. If you've seen the plays, you know that he's borrowed some things from the plays and brought them over into his to his movies and stuff. So that was borrowed right from there. And so he basically David tells Hannah, I admire you, and she's like, well, I'm gonna sleep well knowing that. Just being very sarcastic. And so, but he was serious, he did admire, he does admire Hannah. He was serious about it. He wasn't being condescending. He was serious about it. So he goes to leave, and she asks him, do you think your mother would be proud of you? And he just, you can tell it kind of struck a chord with him, but he just goes on and leaves. And I'm still thinking that maybe something will happen between David and Hannah, because last episode Veronica had that dream with David just saying, did you know I'm in love with Hannah? And we got this scene this week with David and Hannah. We hadn't really seen them interact that way. He opened up with Hannah a little bit, and I'm wondering if it's going to go in the direction. Okay, Hannah's the good Christian woman. David is, kind of a wayward man. Maybe she'll be the person to get him on track and all of that. Maybe. Maybe it won't go that direction, but I'm thinking that there's a setup for that to happen, for maybe a romance or something to happen there. So over at Veronica's house, Laura has done all this work, and she's got it together, and Veronica can't say much. Um, and Laura's like, "Well, I respect my job because of my son or whatever." And Veronica's like, because Veronica's like, she didn't want to hear anything about Laura's family or whatever. And so Laura had brought her husband over to clean the pool, and she's like, and it's no charge. And so Veronica's looking out the window, and she sees Laura's husband. And she's like, she tells Laura, go take care of the shower. I just got out, so go take care of it. And Laura's like, okay. She goes to do that. And, Veronica did that so she could get rid of Laura, so she could flirt with her husband. So she gets him in there, and she talks to him a little bit, and then he ends up saying that he and his wife lost a son in a robbery. And oh, I'm so sorry. And then she's trying to hug him, and then he's like, he backs it up. And he's like, I need to get back to work. And, Laura, Veronica's going to try to get up on him, but I don't know how that's going to go. So the plan was, I guess for him to flirt a little bit to gain her trust so they can get money out of her. But we'll see what happens with that because Veronica is, she likes younger men, so she's gonna get up on him if she gets the opportunity. So Veronica wants Laura to change into a suit and a wig. And I'm like, so to go to this boutique, she said, well, you can't just be looking any kind of way and go up and represent me in this boutique. And I'm like, Laura is, you know, she's running a scam. And I realize she's going to go along with what Veronica says, to try to implement her own plans. But, a wig, why would Veronica want her to go out in a wig? And it just doesn't sound right. But nonetheless, Laura is like, okay, let's do this. I'll change. And so we get another scene with Candace and Benny, and Benny's up in the room acting like he hasn't been anywhere, and he's pushing on the bed. Ooh, I could get some, like basically, I could have somebody in and get some action in. And Candace is like, not while I'm here. And he's trying to tell her about the money. You're wasting this money and whatever. And she's like, just let me have a little bit of fun and all of that. And so basically, they had a little back and forth there. Sort of a brother and sister thing. So he's kind of concerned about her and all of that. And that was basically what that scene was. And so the end of the episode, Wyatt is all knocked out, leaned over like this. Benny throws this bucket of water on him. And so Wyatt, I guess he's lucid again, coherent again, because he realizes where he's at and who he's talking to. And so Vinny pulls out a gun and he's like, you know, about to end Wyatt, but then he hands the gun to Sandy. He's like, do it, do it. You're gonna do it. Do it or you're out of the family. And Sandy's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. So Sandy, he talks a lot of crap, but he really is not the type that can do this sort of thing. And so Vinny grabs the gun and he shoots at Wyatt. And I'm saying at because I'm pretty sure he did not shoot Wyatt because, the haves and the have nots, Tyler Perry likes to put in a lot of, a lot of false endings or whatever makes you think one thing happened, but it really didn't. When the next episode starts, what you think happened did not happen. So I don't think Wyatt was shot, but I don't know. I think Sandy might end up shot because I don't think Uncle Vinny is pleased with him not being murderous. So we'll see what happens next week. So that was the review. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you the next time. Bye.